Hello, hello. Welcome to AI Tech Tea Time, High Tech Tea. I am your host, Jenna Wentz, and I'm in the trenches with live streaming, y'all. Not used to live streaming, but I'm trying to get there. So bear with me if you are joining in. Bear with me, bear with me. This is my first time using Restream, so I expected it to be a mess because I'm not familiar. So I'm trying to get everything together right now. Do I have anybody joining in? Let me see. This is so weird. It's different from it's different from StreamYard, which I have used before. So I'm gonna get into why I am here and let the people join as they may. So I created this show, this idea, AI Tech Tea Time, because I was always on LinkedIn spilling the tea on using AI and what's new and what's going on in AI. So this is just like coming into my world and getting the tea on AI. So for the week, I'm gonna try to make this a weekly show, but life be life, and so maybe not. So let me share my screen. Hi, I'm your host of AI Tea Time, and let's get into it. Okay, I'm pretty sure y'all can see this. I don't like how this is scrolling. As I said, this is AI Tea Time. This is your weekly tech and tea ritual, AI news, culture, clarity. I'm Jenna Wentz. I am an AI literacy educator and architect. So today we're going to be giving a little bit of tea. I'm going to be talking about what happened at Made by Google. And then we're going to get into AI for your nervous system. I don't like the way this looks. Picture in picture. Half screen? Should I half screen? Okay. I like that. I like that half screen. So anyway, we're gonna get into what I'm excited about in AI for the week. And something I'm excited about, a new AI use case. It's not really new because this is something that I've been playing around with all summer as my kids were home, and I desperately needed to regulate my nervous system, because if you're not used to working with kids there and around you, it definitely can be a wreck on your nervous system. So I had to find ways to protect my nervous system, regulate, and try to come back from deregulation. So that's why I really want to show this to you guys. So let's go. But I want you to keep in mind that no app can really like tell you, make you feel safe, or they can show you ways on how to be safe, but it's you regulating your nervous system. It's your nervous system's job to create that safety for your mental and your emotional. So let's get into just some quick tea. Made by Google happened yesterday, which is one of their showcases, not Google I/O, but another smaller showcase that they had. This one was hosted by Jimmy Fallon. I guess we can just take a look.
What's up, Google gang? It's Alex Cooper, and I'm about to pass my phone to someone who's always in the hot seat.
Hey boo, I'm Cody Rigsby, and I'm passing the phone to someone who really puts the pedal to the metal.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and I'm passing the phone to someone who knows a thing or two about driving.
What's up? It's Bryson DeChambeau, and I'm passing the phone to someone that can make a shot from anywhere.
I'm Stephen Curry, and I'm passing the phone to somebody who is always on fire.
Hey, I'm a fire-breathing dragon, and I'm passing the phone to...
This is made by Google, and of course it wouldn't be made by Google.
Yeah, we have a special breed of dog that can speak.
Yeah.
With VIA.
Amazing.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. But it's so, I mean, this generative AI is so fun to play with on Pixel. You can create things like that. And anything in your head you can bring to life in just a couple minutes. And now if you buy a Pixel 10 Pro or a Pro Fold, you get a full year of Google AI Pro on us.
Really? Full year?
Yes, full year. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. It has all of our Gemini magic is in one place with this. So you can do more with VO. You can use Notebook LM, which is our AI research assistant. Or you could also use Flow, which lets you create these cinematic scenes and longer videos. So Google AI Pro is the collection of all of our latest AI breakthroughs.
Wow. Anything else you're excited about?
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, there is. Thanks for asking.
I worked really hard on that question. Yeah. I knew I was going to get you with that, yeah.
I love Gemini Live on Pixel. I think it's so cool.
Oh, yeah.
So you can just share your camera now with Gemini and point it at anything, and you can just get help. And so, you might be working on a DIY project. Maybe you're trying to learn a new hobby, or maybe you're trying to help your kid with their homework and pretend you understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
Whatever you need. You can just share your camera, you can point it at something, and Gemini will help you out.
Wow. Can we see a little Gemini Live in action?
Oh yeah, I think that's a good idea. Why don't we roll the clip?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Lando, it looks like we swapped spots for the day. Any advice?
Train hard, drive fast, and most importantly, get a cool looking race suit.
That's easy. I can do that.
Any advice for me?
You're gonna need a cool nickname. I'm the Greek freak. What's your nickname?
For now, let's go with Landog.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work.
I'm sorry, I'm new here. Gemini.
Hi, what can I do for you today?
Look over the rest of my calendar. I'm gonna learn how to drive like Landon Norris.
Done. I expect to see you on the podium by sunset.
My hand-eye coordination and reflexes are normally pretty dialed in. Is that going to translate to basketball?
Your fantastic hand-eye coordination and reflexes are a huge advantage in basketball. You are set up for some great plays.
What kind of race car does Landon Norris drive?
He's in the MCL 39. It's an evolution of their championship-winning MCL 38. designed to push the boundaries of performance.
How would I go about driving a car like that in a day?
You'll need a track, spare car, and perhaps a guardian angel. If you're serious, start with a simulator or a high-performance driving school.
Okay, I'm feeling a voice over. One of the voices they have for Google Gemini live with your camera. I'm just not sure. I feel a little bit conflicted because I'm like, do I want Google to have access to my camera? But Google already has access to my camera. I feel like because I have an Android, so Google Photos already has access. So I'm like, why not just tap into live? I do like that it can help you point at the camera, and I've already used this. My husband put me onto this feature a little while ago where I had bought some skincare products from Korea, and all of the language on the box or the packaging, everything was in Korean. And he showed me that I could use Google Live and Gemini Live and just translate it right on the screen without going to the translator. So I thought that was pretty dope. Yeah, so I think I'm into it. Y'all tap in. Let me know if you're into sharing your camera permissions with Google, and are you using Google Gemini Live? Let me know. That's one of the things that I am excited about from their from this announcement. Let's see what else they have.
And now I want to welcome the Vice President of Marketing, Adrienne Lofton.
What?
Hey, hello. Hey, Jimmy.
How are you? Can you say accessories?
I can't do it. It's too much celeb star power. I hadn't watched it before right now, but I did take notes on what I'm excited about. I'm definitely excited about the Pixel. I haven't tried the visual overlays. I had a Pixel. I don't have a Pixel 10. I think I had a Pixel whatever, not because I feel like they come out with a new phone every year, but like twice a year, I think, Google. I had the, I guess, Pixel 8. And so if I was to get a Pixel, I prefer a Pixel as like my second phone. So if I ever do get another second phone, I would be excited to try these out, and I will probably watch a more condensed version of this announcement to see what I want to try out. But I do like the visual overlays. I do like Magic Q. I do like the translation, like I said. This take a message is cool, and then maybe Pixel Journal, whatever that is, I don't know. A lot of these features I have already on my Meta glasses, and so I don't know if I want to if I would even need to invest, but let's go on. They announced things for AI, some new AI features in Gemini for Home. I don't have Gemini Home, but I think Gemini for Home might be one of my next tech upgrades because Google is Google. So I think having a Google Home device would be better than having a Amazon Home device. Our kids have Alexa for stuff like bedtime stories, schedule, wake up in the morning, alarm, all that stuff. But I think Gemini Home might be the thing. They also made upgrades to Fitbit. I'm not into Fitbit. I do want an Oura Ring. And then get Google Wearables, which the Pixel Watch 4 came out. And then they made AI upgrades to the Pixel Buds, which both seem cool. Meta glasses is my first introduction to wearables, really. So I don't know if I'll be spending on that. But so just to go into some of these new AI features in Gemini. So they have visual overlays, which is part of their new camera features, and it's going to allow you to use Gemini as glasses. So like you said, they said you can point it at something and it can tell you about it. Meta Glasses does that. They're going to have Magic Q, which is going to give you information across apps like Gmail and Calendar and Message. I don't have a screenshot of it, but right now they've done a ton of upgrades. I don't know if they put it into this release, but they've done a ton of upgrades in Workspace. So if you go into, I don't have the screenshot. If you go into your, let me just share this doc real quick. If you go into your Google Docs, I hope you guys can see this. I guess I don't have it. But anyway, they released something where Google can read your document to you. Maybe either I don't have it or I don't know where to find it, but anyway, Google Docs can read the document. Oh, here we go. So you can allow Google Documents to read to you. I think that's cool. I think this new e-signature in Google Docs is cool. And then they're allowing their Google Docs. I mean, Gemini is already in Google Docs, if you see right here, but they are allowing if you allow Gemini can go in and send you like reminders for flights from from Calendar, Google Calendar, and stuff like that. So that's what I'm feeling this week in AI. A couple of other things happened with Claude. I know they released like some enterprise tools for code. But I didn't really see much that was going on this week. So I thought that Made for Google, the conference and the features was the best thing that they had out. Now, moving on. So let's talk about AI in your nervous system, right? Yeah. Our brains are on super overconsumption. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you will know that I write a Pretty Minds newsletter every once a month, and I talk about brain detox. I talk about mental health. I talk about mental health for creatives and polymaths. I talk about how to preserve critical thinking while using AI, all these kinds of things. So I thought that this would be very much in line. I talked about this in my last newsletter, but the nervous system is shot, y'all, from overconsumption. And that's from scrolling, that's from taking on way too many, reading too much, taking on way too many resources, watching 50 million YouTube videos, which I am guilty of as well. I stay on a YouTube video, but I also do things to detox my nervous system. So I'm not just always on scroll. And I think that is what is messing up our nervous systems and deregulating our nervous systems, right? So I pulled a couple of things off of Pinterest to help us before we get started. And I want us to think about what kind of thinker what kind of thinking we do, what kind of thinkers are we, and how does like the way that we think deregulate us or regulate us, and how can we, using our understanding of the way that we think and our cognitive styles, how can we protect our nervous systems and create things like a mental or internal garden, right? So a couple of things. Wow, came out so blurry. A couple of signs of nervous system deregulation, anxiety, not being able to concentrate, not being able to digest information, feeling all over the place in the inside, these sorts of things, right? And so the more information we take in, the more overconsumed we are, the more we use AI without co-creating with AI. And when I say co-creating with AI, I mean including AI in your thinking process, but not letting AI completely think for you, right? What that looks like is I have an idea, but I use AI to help me make the idea better, 10x the idea, not just copy and paste it straight from ChatGPT, Claude, whatever it is, right? So the first thing we need to do since I can't see this, let me see if I can pull it up on Pinterest and then I can give a more, okay, yes, I'm able to pull it up on Pinterest. I hope y'all can still see. So I just want to run through nervous system regulation cheat sheet right quick with y'all. So, and I didn't have like all these scientific terms in my head, so I'm so glad that I was able to pull this up. But understanding your nervous system, right? Nervous system operates in flight or flight response. So that's the sympathetic nervous system, and then we have the parasympathetic nervous system. So one is fight or flight. That's hard to say. That's the sympathetic, and then the other one, the parasympathetic, is what's activated for you to go into rest and digest mode. So that one, it promotes relaxation, reduces your heart rate, conserves that energy. And then the flight or flight one, that's what happens when you feel anxiety, heart racing, like not being able to breathe, short breath, and your adrenaline level spiking. So some other signs of dysregulation of your nervous system is rapid heartbeat, shallow breathing, being tense like in your body, sweating, feeling jittery, fatigue, low energy, difficulty concentrating, as I said, and then feeling disconnected from things. Now, why am I talking about this? Because I believe that social media, age of AI, all this internet age that we're living in definitely makes this like hyper dysregulation of your nervous system, right? And if we don't start practicing regulation and we don't start having like long-term strategies like mindfulness in our days, mindfulness, meditation, physical activity, sleep, better sleep, balanced diet, doing analog things and going offline, which I had a whole newsletter on LinkedIn about this, we are going to be in trouble. Like, we're just going to be walking around psychotic if we don't start doing this. So, quick tea on that, and why I'm even talking about this. So, let's go into what like your way of learning, thinking has to do with it. So, but we're going to be using AI to help us do this, but we need to go through these things in order to get to the point where we're going to pull up ChatGPT, right? So let me break down these cognitive styles. Most people are really cognitive, have multi-cognition styles, but usually there's a prominent one. But most people are like multimodal, right? So you have verbal, visual, spatial, objective, kinesthetic, and then integrated. I think that I'm more integrated, and that really helps me with critical thinking, creativity, locking in a flow state, working, productivity, all those type of things, right? So let me just go through these, and then I want you to take down which type of thinking style that you have, right? So why is this still? I promise y'all that I'm gonna get good at live streaming. So sidebar, y'all are seeing me build in public. You guys are seeing me suck at something in the beginning. And it's such a huge deal for if you're here, if you're tapped in, I appreciate you so much because this is such a big deal for me to live stream, get on YouTube. I've been avoiding live streaming, especially going on YouTube, having a YouTube channel forever. So huge step. Somebody clap for me somewhere, okay? Okay, let's continue. So if you're a verbal thinker, you think in words, sentences, and internal monologue. I definitely am a verbal thinker. I love writing. I love storytelling. I love explaining my ideas to anyone that will listen and provide a safe space. If you know, you know. But verbal thinker, me, Ray Tam. Visual spatial thinker, you think in abstract visual patterns, systems, diagrams. You love a mind map, you love a flow chart, you love puzzles, you love strategy. I think I could check that box as well. Object visualizers, you think in vivid photorealistic images. You recall faces, scenes, design, details, and color memory. That is me. Again, so I believe I'm all these three, so I'm really more of an integrated thinker, but let's continue. Kinesthetic thinker, you learn by doing in movement and you prefer prototyping, role play, physical activity. Not so much me. Integrated thinker, you can translate between styles, multimodal, dimensional cognition, and you shift modes easily, and you're strong in systems and metaphor. Yeah, me. So I want you to take down some notes. You got a sticky, whatever, of what type of thinker you are, and we're going to come back to that later. So let's get into our activity on. I said I was doing this because I really think people need an internal operating system reset. And by aligning your nervous system with your thinking style, we're going to use AI to co-create, right? Because we co-create with AI, and to co-regulate. So we're going to go through these steps. And by the time we get to the end, you'll see why you need to know like your cognitive style and your thinking style. So I don't know. So first thing we're going to do is identify our nervous system's default setting. So what is your default setting when you are overwhelmed? Do you tend to freeze up? Do you tend to scroll, overconsume? Do you tend to can't post messages? So channels. Do you tend to multitask? Do you tend to loop into spirals? Like basically, how does your nervous system crash out, right? Like what are the cues for that? And take that down. Understanding your genius mode / your sensory type. So what kind of input calms you? What things overstimulate you the fastest? And we're going to pair that with this little genius mode activity that I have. So and understanding that, like, is it sound? Is it silence? Is it a certain texture? Is it certain visuals? I know some people hate like ASMR, ASMR and things like that. For me, it's definitely noise. And that's kind of like how I came up with all of this because like I said, like my kids were home for the summer. They're back in school now. So it's totally silent and quiet. And not that I need to have silence. I like a little lo-fi. Sometimes I like even a show in the background or music. But it's something about like certain types of noise. Like if I can hear somebody being like verbally hear them being frustrated, that will just like send my thinking into a spiral, into a crash out. Yelling, things like banging and clanging and like cabinet slamming and like it's just like weird. Like I don't know I don't know why these noises offend my thinking so much, but it definitely, this is how I kind of came up with um using AI to reset my nervous system because I had went into perplexity and I was saying like sometimes when I'm working from home, I get all these inputs, right, of noise and I just cannot take it. I cannot work like that. It disrupts me completely. And so perplexity was like, oh, you know, you don't do well with audio signals and you don't do well. You are a divergent thinker. You are you have integrated cognitive style of thinking. And so like it was giving me this breakdown of why that happens to me. And so I was like, I gotta tell other people about this because this is great. But I want you to take that down. Like what type of input calms you? What type of input overstimulates you the fastest? So based on that, I'm gonna go through some ways that you can reset your nervous system. If the input that overstimulates you is visual, you need like a clean visual working space. You need to do sketching, brain dumping, mood boarding. If verbal things overstimulate you, then you should try journaling, voice note scripting. Super helpful for me. And I do this day to day and it helps so much. Like I know if I'm having like anxiety around having a conversation or for doing something like this, definitely scripting it out helps me the most. So intuitive, if that type of input overstimulates you, you're going to need silence, you're going to need scent to reset your nervous system in your environment, and you probably want to do some breath work. The 5 4 3 2 1 breathing method. And for that one, you probably could do like sensory, like what do you see? I know they do this for kids a lot, like name something blue you see or whatever, like a color that stands out around you, stuff like that. Experiential, you would need movement, kinesthetic tools, and flow mapping. And then for systematic, you would need order around you, list, and logical grouping. That one helps me too. So these are just some ways that you can reset your nervous system based on how you get overstimulated. And we're going to do some more and have some more activities here. But step 3, you want to design a nervous system informed space, a nervous system informed workspace, right? So now that you know like what those triggers are and what your thinking style is, you're going to want to restructure your environment for using social media and for using AI, so that you are regulated but not overloaded. So, like I said, if you're sensitive to noise, audio, or have audio overload like me, you're going to want to use something like Otter, which I've been using Otter for like 5 years to transcribe audio around me. Because sometimes if I'm overstimulated with audio, I can't my brain cannot make that switch to pay attention to something else that might be relevant audio wise. So for example, if I'm at a conference, a lot of times I'll just pull out Otter and have it transcribe what is being said that I can come back to later, because I might not be able to in real time clock it and process it. So you're going to want to use something like Otter or ChatGPT to transcribe and summarize instead of listening live in a moment. If you're doing too much reading or scrolling, you can use something like AI to do visual maps or concept clusters. I know that I do this a lot with Notebook LM. I'll take a whole bunch of sources of things that I'm listening to, learning, reading, put it into Notebook LM and let it create that mind map or create like a summary or FAQ to break it down, right? If it's decision fatigue, so over choice, you can do something like prompt chat to help you reduce your cognitive load. You can say like, give me 3 options of this, not 10. Summarize this into 3 sentences, not 5 paragraphs. So breaking things down into smaller chunks. And then you can do for open loop, if you're sensitive to that and you need to contextualize things, you can use AI as a context keeper. So summarizing what worked during your week, that's a good one that I like. Summarizing your day. Putting into AI or ChatGPT like what you had problems with that day or the challenges, and then having it give you next steps is awesome for somebody who gets overloaded with decision fatigues and like open loop on thinking. And then you have fatigue, period. So using AI to co-create, like I said, not just generate. We don't do that around here. We don't do that. You can use AI to like help you sketch an outline. I love to have AI help me do an outline of my thoughts prior to jumping into something new, right? Because it helps you with the flow of your thinking. So step number 4, how to create your sensory workflow. So the nervous system really is about like grounding and creating a safe space inside of your body on a daily basis. So that's doing things and having rituals that when people say like coming home to yourself, that's what they mean. So you can have like a calming playlist that I don't remember what it is, but calming, you can Google this or ask AI, but like what is give you examples of songs that are at the most calming beats per minute and base your playlist off that, because some people think like a common playlist is going to be listening to like whatever is your turn up song, and that's not going to work because that's not going to calm you. It's going to elevate that heart rate and put you in a different mode. So you want to make sure that you're listening to a common playlist. Being able to organize your thoughts better is definitely a sensory activity that you can do to calm yourself. And then having one grounding ritual before using AI or social media. So breathing, stretching, silence, going for a walk. This builds connection between the mind, body, and technology. And then our last step is having boundaries with AI. I think this is so important. I was listening to a podcast. I'm not finished with it yesterday. Diary of a I forgot DOAC, Diary of a whatever. Stephen Bartlett, I forget the name of his podcast right now. And it was about brain rot in AI. And I think the more we can have analog activities, the more we can have critical thinking, the more we can have time and boundaries away from AI, the more we're going to be able to preserve our brains for longer time using AI. And let's get into how you can set boundaries with AI for your thinking, for your creativity, and protecting your nervous system. So summarize this video in 100 words is a prompt that I would use so that you're not, I know even some creators who are starting to consume less by doing stuff like this, like not watching as much stuff, but actually still getting the resource and the gems and the knowledge from things. Like you can still use YouTube, but use it responsibly, right? Like if you were able to skip the hype on something by summarizing it, why wouldn't you? Breaking things down. So break this down into a 3-step sequence using visual, I would even say visual cues and visual storytelling. So that way AI can break stuff. If you're a visual person, AI can break something that's text heavy down into something that visually is stimulating and calming. If you're an entrepreneur, write this sales page in a calming tone, no urgency, no scarcity. I feel like people that use scarcity marketing are probably like super anxious, but we'll explore that another day. I think it's important to not just work with AI, right? It's important to train AI in the language that we use and in the language that's most beneficial to our nervous system. So here's a framework that I have, regulation for using AI in a nervous system responsible way, and in a way that protects us from brain rot, right? Or help us detox our nervous system. Regulation, cognition, and creativity, then productivity. So, and then I even have prompts that will help you to do this. So, of course, regulation, that's grounding, calming, deep breathing, a 4-4-8 breathing pattern, or going out into nature, touching grass, sensory, right? So if you were feeling some type of way, I would use the AI voice feature, ChatGPT. And I would go in and I would say, like, I'm feeling such and such, describe those feelings. And then you can say, act like my nervous system and help me understand what I'm feeling right now. And for people that don't really have an internal world and internal dialogue with themselves, this is huge because I would be using AI to build up that muscle with myself. So here's your prompt for that. Cognition, helping you organize your thoughts and be able to think clearly. I think being able to think clearly is the unlock of using AI, period. But obviously it's the unlock for understanding yourself. So I do a lot of brain dumping with AI. This is like a thought download and a narrative audit because by doing this, it trains AI, like I said, on your voice, your narrative, your thought patterns. But at the same time, it helps you to better understand yourself in real time. So a prompt here for cognition would be, you can mirror my thinking and help me sort through and organize these ideas. So this would be a prompt that you could use like after a brain dump. Creativity, bouncing between like clarity and play and imagination. So this is things like journaling, sketching, voice memos with AI. You could have an idea and ask AI to, I always like to give it a persona So you could ask AI to act like your creative strategist and help you remix your ideas in 3 different aligned ways. And that's where this aligned piece is super important, because that's where you're going to make it personalized and sound like you, and respond with an output that is aligned to you and your way you think. Productivity. So this is aligning intention with action and energy. So time boxing and soft scheduling. I love using AI for scheduling, for keeping myself accountable, project management, all the things. So this would look like asking ChatGPT to help you design your week in a way that protects your peace and gets it done. Like I remember doing this when I was doing like my Q2 goals, and I asked ChatGPT, I put the goals in there and I said, help me create a plan where I can execute these and achieve these goals without burnout and protecting my peace. And I think just being intentional about stuff like that is a huge unlock to doing things in a way that intentionally regulates your nervous system, right? So I want you to ask yourself, what's your creative process? What your day-to-day would look like if you use these tools to build things, create things, for intentionality and not output. How you can stop outsourcing your energy, and how you can do a full operating system OS reset. So I'm gonna put this in the chat. Which are you struggling the most with? Let me know. Is it regulation, cognition, creativity, or productivity? So I'm gonna throw this in the chat. And let's see, if you're not, I'm gonna do it later on LinkedIn, because I think you can only do it on YouTube. So later for LinkedIn. Okay, this is our final exercise for today's high tech tea, for today's AI tech tea time. I'm not really sure which name I like better. If I like high tech tea, which was the original name, or do I like AI tech tea time? I think I like high tech tea. Help me decide, y'all. What do y'all like best for me to call this show? Okay, so obviously, like, before we can think clearly and create from a clear space, we need to regulate. And to regulate your nervous system, like I said, you need to feel safe so you can know what to focus on. So you can calm your fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response time. And we really live in a world that feeds off of that, right? Like with burnout, with exhaustion, but then trying to like sell all these products that help you put a band-aid on burnout and exhaustion and no sleep. But then at the same time, the world is kind of like set up for that. So with that in mind, AI can't really regulate you, but it can help you notice in real time where you are unregulated. So let's, I should have put ChatGPT in a window here. Shout out to Milanote. I'm using them for the first time for something like this because I thought it would be better than a deck. And so far, I love it. But we're going to have to switch to ChatGPT. So we're not going to be able to use the board. But I'm going to have to walk y'all through just like in talking, and then we use ChatGPT. So the first part of this is identifying a nervous system state, your nervous system state, the state you're in, and then understanding how it impacts decision making. So if you are feeling calm, anxious, or tired, like whatever is your state, you can do an exercise with ChatGPT. Like I was saying before, my allergies suddenly are acting up, and my throat is pause. My throat is not right. Okay. I'm gonna do this live with y'all, and I'm not gonna use the voice because I don't know if I can with live. So this is the prompt that we're gonna use. And I'm just gonna add to it since I'm not using the voice. So I'm just describing how it can feel when your nervous system is not regulated, and I'm asking chat. I'm starting a new chat. I'm asking chat what that means. So I feel like you can do this in any state that you're in. Any feels that you're feeling throughout the day, you can acknowledge them and you can find out how to work through them. So let's see what it says, right? It's telling me that my sympathetic nervous system is activated, fight or flight. And it gives me why. And then it's giving me solutions on how I can orient my nervous system to safety. So everything that I've already said, it is reinforcing like what the what the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system is, what it looks like when it's not regulated, and then steps to return me back to safety, aka coming home to yourself. It gives me a regulation step, and this is super accurate because when I feel like anxious or when I'm feeling this sympathetic nervous system, I always do like this because, well, first a therapist told my daughter to do that one time. But anyway, so I always do this when I do feel that anxiety because it always comes like in my hands. If that ever happens to you, let me know in the comments. But it always like feels itchy and my palms get sweaty. But anyway, and it gives me 4 steps to return. So that's step number 1, a tool that you can use. I feel like I should share my whole screen with y'all. Okay, I want to share my whole screen because I feel like this is important. So you see how AI becomes a mirror and not like a master over you. It's reflecting where you are and giving you steps to reset before you try to do anything else. And I think that's important with nervous system regulation. I think that's important with I think that's important for anybody who's a creator to reset before you start to produce or do anything. So part 2, recognizing how your dysregulation clogs your clarity and using AI to be your assistant to help you through that thought process organization. When your nervous system is in chaos, your mind typically follows that chaos. So that's feeling anything like scattered, where you can't like create a consistent, coherent narrative inside, and it feels like that's spiraling. Your clarity goes out the window, and being centered in your thinking is really that bridge between how you can regulate and go back to your creative state or being creative. So your mind, I love to say this, like your mind is the OG AI. Like literally your brain is the OG ChatGPT. So if your inputs are cloudy, not clear, your outputs are going to be too. When people say AI doesn't work, I'm always like, it's a user error because it's you. Baby, it's you. Because garbage in, garbage out. Like if you're not clear with what you're putting in, you're not going to get anything. You're not going to get clarity out of it. So type yes if you feel me in the chat on that. If you wrote down a to-do list and even that felt unclear, right? So this is what we need to do. Here's a chat if you a chat. Here's a prompt if you're in this state, right? Like I said, we always want to have our persona here. Now, executive function is what helps us think, make decisions, what helps us think in linear fashion. It is what helps us problem solve, critical think. That is a function in our brain. And so we're going to say, act like my executive function. And I'm going to change this and say, help me understand how my thoughts and thought patterns are slowing me down today. Feeling scattered and all over the place. Now, chat is good. We don't really have to like go back and fix that. Spelling, we good to go. So again, this is how we can co-create and co-regulate with AI. Like give it something to work with. And I really think deep knowledge, right? Having a deep knowledge base is the key to using AI well. Like I've read about this and studied this, so I know what it's saying is correct. But if you didn't know about it, you could ask it to fact check itself, and you can ask it where it's getting this information from, cite the sources. You can ask it if this is true and factual. So keep that in mind when you're using AI as well. Now, it's saying if I'm feeling all over the place, it means that my prefrontal cortex, which is the CEO of my brain, is overloaded. Yes, that means you have too many tabs open, basically. And it gives me a breakdown of what's happening in my mind. And then it gives me the thinking patterns that could be slowing me down, which these are all correct as to thinking patterns and things, actions that you might be doing subconsciously that are slowing you down. And then it gives me ways that I can reclaim my executive function. Brain dumping, highly recommend. Picking a top 3 in your to-do list. So as few things as possible. I don't know why as humans because I do it too, we feel like we have to do all the things in our to-do list in order to be productive. I know how I broke out of that cycle is just simply carrying over the to-do list to the next day. Like, and sometimes I can definitely be crashing out and I'm carrying over the same thing for like multiple days, and I could be avoiding it. That's a whole different story. But get into this step. Try to have as few things on your to-do list as possible. Time boxing, interrupting a loop, and then doing a completion reward, which is the dopamine for your brain. So take that prompt down for regulating when you're feeling all over the place. and your executive function is crashing out. So part 3, we have one more after this, is learning how your nervous system unlocks divergent thinking and creativity. So really your nervous system is when you are feeling stuck and when you are feeling like you can't create, it's probably because your nervous system is not regulated. Once you are regulated, you will see that like creativity starts to flow again. Creativity is what people don't realize creativity is a sign of most mental and emotional safety. So when you're in fight or flight mode, you're not going to be able to innovate because your inner self feels like it's under attack or there's a threat. But the gag is when you regulate AI, you can use something like AI, right, to amplify your creativity and your imagination instead of overwhelming yourself, instead of overwhelming it. And that's why we use AI as a co-creation tool instead of using it to take over our thinking. Like, you got to snatch your agency back from AI. If you've been outsourcing your thinking and outsourcing your brain to AI, you got to reclaim it back. So, I want to know what's one area of your work that you wish you had more of a creative flow in. Drop it in the chat and I will make up a prompt for you to help you solve that and get unstuck. So here's what we're going to do now. If you are feeling kind of stuck in your creativity, I'm going to help you with a prompt. Really, I want to say, help me come up with five ways I could say this or think of this differently. And for me, I don't really have anything that I want to think of differently or say. So I would do something like, help me come up with 5 ways I could say or think of, I'm going to just say one of my new ideas differently. But you can apply this to content creation. You can apply this to idea at work. You can apply this to a brand message. You can apply this to content. But the key is you want it to help you create 5 different ways you can think of something or do something differently without burning out. So let me see. Okay, so this is exactly what I wanted. It's giving you reframe so that you can think differently. For me, it's giving me a playground. So having ideas, and if you're in the tech world, you know what playground is, you know what a sandbox is, but basically having an experimentation sandbox. And so for me, this has really, really helped me, guys. And it's really helped me to combat perfectionism, which is I used to have that really bad, right? And I used to justify it to myself. But this helps you to thinking of everything as an experiment helps me to like do stuff so fast. And people ask me like, how do you execute so fast on ideas? It's because I feel like everything is an experiment. And that helps you to like have low stakes and low attachment to things and lower the pressure on things. But so I'm not gonna go through each one of those, but each one of these, but you can do a playground reframe, you can do a seasons reframe, a capsule reframe, the mosaic reframe, the iteration reframe. These things help you to think differently on your ideas, on your creative process so you don't end up burning out. And then lastly, and with that last tip, notice how AI gives you like, it gave me so much depth, but they're aligned to like me and how I think. And I think that's the magic of AI, right? When you're using it properly, responsibly. So the last thing is using AI so you're not so attached to goals and you're not so you can give yourself grace with your goals and the things that you're doing. So lastly, let's get into this. You don't I said this on LinkedIn the other day. You don't need any more receipts, any more degrees, any more productivity, any more AI tools. You need alignment with your inner world, right? And you need productivity without judging yourself or punishing yourself, which only comes through regulation. So, when the things that you plan for your life is based or it is rooted in your nervous system being healthy, you can create work that it honors your energy and it doesn't just respect deadlines, right? So I know we will all have a week that we will rather have a week that's peaceful over productivity. If you are aligned to that, you can type both in the chat, both of them in the chat. Okay. So this is our last prompt that we're going to use. And it's helping us to redefine productivity and root productivity in our nervous system's wisdom, and align to our cognitive genius, right? So let's just put this last prompt in, and we're almost done here. So can you help me design a weekly plan that's centered around my nervous system, my thinking style, honors my creative genius? So you put this prompt in. Of course, chat is going to do it. It gives me, let me see, 4 steps to doing this, and it gives me a weekly framework and plan for doing this. If you need these prompts, hit me up in the chat and I will send them to you. Let me know how this was. I want you to leave here being able to do the inner work. Before you prompt with AI, you need to prompt yourself, right? What would you change if you paused to regulate before you produced? So that is this week's AI. No, this is high tech tea, y'all. I'm still not even used to this, but I am forcing myself to do this. Thank you for sharing a little over an hour with me. I'm trying to keep these to an hour. I'm trying to keep these weekly. I'm trying to get better at live streaming. So if you came to this class, let me know if this helped you. Let me know how it was. And sips tea until next time. I'm Jenna Wentz, and I am your fave AI literacy girly. Let's talk next time.